this, impromptu talk show with three surprise guests. I'm Bea, I'm your co-convener, and and we're running on smoke and fumes because we have not slept in a few days. Alright, so we will have you all introduce yourselves, rapid fire, just first name and then where you are from here in the Philippines.
You can use Lannang to introduce yourself, or you can introduce yourself in a language if you're familiar with it.
You can, so local language is okay, and we will just guess from context clues. Alright, let's start on there.
Hello. Okay, we'll start with.
I'm Betty. Betty wag ang Ilocos live.
Si Trubonglo, si Makolod lang, ingot si Jun, kaya Binondo.
Thank you. Ako si Adrian. By Lannang niya, kyo Loban Leong. I'm from Davao City.
Okay, hoba, masih Lawrence Du, masih wala nang kyo yap kumun, masih ui Davao City lang.
Gua si Philip Jen, si Ilong lang.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. I'm Lisbeth Lim. Lannang nga si Imchungjan. I am from the city of flowers. And Asia's Latin city, I'm proudly Zamboanga.
Alright. Rapid fire now. One, two, three. Alright, rapid fire pa rin. One word or one phrase that describes your experience growing up, Lannang, in your provinces.
Okay. Multifaceted.
True. Challenging.
Aloof.
Complicated.
Two cultures, two altars, two races.
Amazing. Okay. Last question in our rapid fire round. Complete this sentence. Complete this sentence. So being Lannang in your city means blank.
Okay, we'll start here.
Sorry.
Being Lannang in our city is very important.
Yung kila ng ang tek.
Being Lannang in our city means people will think na ikaw ay something, hindi lang by default.
Hello. I second the motion. Dinasinan ng automatically sisingin ng si Hobya number or something in chick. I wish.
Being Lannang is something to be proud of.
The same. Lannang is yung Hobya.
Yeah.
Don't we all wish that?
Being Lannang in my city gives me multilingualism superpowers.
Alright, so let's move on to the question. So we have a list of questions prepared for all of you.
This is how much we'll prepare though.
Most of them are Chinese.
Okay. No, don't worry. So we're gonna stay here until like 8 o'clock. Joke. We will finish at 5:30 kasi I have class. Okay. So we'd like to hear, so we arranged this panel precisely because in a lot of conferences, especially on the Chinese in the Philippines, we're always accused of, which is true naman, of being Manila-centric, right? And so we really want to about what's happening elsewhere, how you're growing up, and we can find our connections, the differences and the similarities of how we grew up here in Manila and in other parts of the country. So for each of our guests, we'd like you to share maybe one or very briefly, no time, very briefly, what's unique, what do you think is unique about growing up in your city or your province? And we're looking for the uniqueness that you think is different from what you're seeing here in Metro Manila.
Something that people often tell you, oh, this is not Manila, it feels very Swatian, right? Or very provincial, right? What is that thing? What is that unique experience, okay?
So this is free for all, and would like to start first?
Anyone want to start? Okay, we have Lawrence from Davao.
So there's a thing called Davao Konyo, which is like a mix of Tagalog, Bisaya, and English siguro, right? And then you add another layer of Hokkien to that. So that's something, right? Yeah, that's something. Adrian.
Sometimes yan, I will start na speaking na, kanang pag mag-usap kami ng ating classmate, maghalo-halo ang mga language. So sometimes na magsabi ako sa classmate ko na, uy, binadit ikaw kibotong ba? Tapos sabi niya, ay dili ko, uy, mag-absent ako bukas kasi kapoy ako. So it sounds like that. So lahat ng mga languages naghahalo. And it becomes even more pronounced kapag may kausap kang Lumad or Moro, because they will also sometimes, when they're speaking to each other, maghahalo din ang kanilang mga own languages. So that's Davao Konyo.
Okay. So that's Davao Konyo with Hokkien. So I don't know what to call it. Davao Hokkien Konyo. I don't know. Davao Lannang version 2. I don't know. Okay, anyone else? And from
Tacloban, Region 8, we are more multilingual than people here. Usually we grow up with 4 to 5 languages already because Samar itself has 4 different dialects already. So like us, in Tacloban, our Waray is different from those from Eastern Samar, and then different from those from Northern Samar. So we will grow up with Nganis that are from Eastern Samar, but we are in Tacloban. So we already know at least 2 languages. And then you add Hokkien, you add English, Tagalog, and while we were growing up, we already know at least about 4 to 5 languages.
So who here in the audience knows at least 5 languages? Please raise your hands. Okay, I see 1 hand, 2 hands. So people here in Manila tend to be a little bit less multilingual. That may be one of the experiences of being a Tacloban Lannang. Alright? Okay, who else here? Siya nga ba? How about from the north? Or okay.
Same with example, Laya. In Hokkien, it's the pair, Laya. So yung Ilocano nakarinig, akala niya Luya. Kaya,
So like Laya, like the pair becomes Luya. Okay, maybe one more.
Growing up in Bacolod, no, something, especially when I was growing up. So it's a small city, and so Kwetchiala, Matito siya Kwetchiala, from Katale, no, Kwetchia, and then everything is Kasyote. So in fact, people are known as Tinay Jia and Hojia, or I Kasyote.
So for us naman, like since we are very close to the bar regions also, so the Lannangs in Zamboanga and encompass na natin Basilan and Cebu, some of them would also be speaking Tausug. And aside from Chabacano on top of the four that is typically known that Lannangs in Manila speak na ano tawag dito? The value meal combination of English, Hokkien, Tagalog, Mandarin. So in my case, like I also learned how to speak Chabacano and a little bit of Bisaya growing up. But in my dad's case, he is born and raised in Zamboanga, so he knows 7, namely English, Mandarin, Tagalog, Hokkien, Bisaya, Tausug, and Chabacano. Yeah.
Hey, wow. So 7 is of course greater than 5. Okay, so speaking about that, I think I have another. I'm actually very curious about something. Okay, so this is one thing I observed as someone who was born but then I moved to Manila and with my parents in Manila. My mama kapapa kasi Manila and Lannang. So it's a little bit weird because my accent is basically Manila. Kim, Tansi, Konde, Kwege, Ilkesi, Ilong, Kim. Alright, so one observation I had was that people in Manila, they tend to be, first an impression that people in Manila and Lannang, it's harder to integrate with people or it's just kind of like this idea. But at the same time, in Iloilo, one thing I noticed is that it's more blended. Like for example, in Cebu, you will see that the Chinatown is not as marked. It's literally everywhere. Some people say that Cebu is basically a Chinatown in itself, right? So my question for all of you on the stage is, do you think Lannangs in your city feel fully part of the broader Filipino community? Do you feel very assimilated, or do you feel like, not so much, I feel more Chinese, I feel more Lannang, something like that. So I just want to know what your thoughts are. Anyone can start.
For me, in Davao City growing up, it's yes and no, like, because in my yung sige, di si Philippine lang, di bin wrong color, di bakchu wrong shape. So there are some people like that, they won't say it directly. You can get it from the implication, pero as a general rule, most naman are okay. Kasi nga in Davao, 11 ang indigenous and Moro tribes, tapos nandun pang Bisaya, nandun pa kami, and then nandun pa yung mga Japanese descendants, Spanish descendants. So parang, we have to adjust it to each other. So as a general rule, I felt naman na part ako ng community. Pero meron din mga hindi sinasadyang comments na parang they feel na you're different, So parang hindi sinasadya, but it's there sometimes.
For me, in Iloilo, siguro personally, sometimes I feel like more Lannang or hindi ko belong dito. But as a community, inclusive yung Iloilo, same as what Dr. Webb said, agree ako na yan, that the Chinese community in Iloilo is more like of a whole, there's a wholeness of the community.
So for my case, since I am in the academe, I've been teaching at Western Mindanao State University for 2 years, and I'm also involved in our family business. What I noticed is parang may divide, but then may blurred lines then in between. It's because that, for example, in terms of Songdi, we are talking to Kwai Lannang Ke or mga Tayo ka Ke. We talk to them in Lannang way. But then we also have Philippine lang na Ke. So we tend to speak to them in the local language. And then aside from that, we had to learn some vocabulary ourselves so that it would be easier to facilitate certain transactions. No? But then there are times also that we observe na we have to be more mindful about the people around us, especially if we are dealing with a lot of the Philippine language. Because we would get comments from time to time na please be mindful kasi Chao Philippine lang. So you are to minimize a little bit yung dinatong Lannang way para maging inclusive siya for everybody.
How about Betty, Ate Betty?
In our province, accepted naman ang Lannang, very much accepted kasi halos lahat ng government official namin Islam na. From the board member, mayor, lahat na yung mga nanalo.
Alright, so as you can see, there's kind of a spectrum. I think from the Manila experience, a lot of us might feel quite marked, right? Like it's hard to, they always point you out for being Chinese looking. They'll say, oh, is he, are you half Chinese or are you just Chinese? They always ask me that. And it feels so weird because in other provinces, when I was in I was never asked that question, right? So that's just my experience though.
So the Binondo politicians should be pagdating the Ilocos Norte politicians. Tepa. Oh, you know that chismis, huh? You should know.
Alright. Should we move? Oh, you want to share? You go back. Yeah, Lawrence. From Davao.
Okay. Yeah, I was also thinking about what Adrian just said a while ago about Davao being, quite, it's like, to a degree there is a bit of that acceptance. Pero, I can say that personally, I have seen maybe the not so acceptance side of things as well. What's this? For example, maybe in certain church circles or something, or like maybe some school circles, it's a bit of like, I'm not gonna mention any, but it's like there, but there's definitely like you can see there's it can be a bit of like a what do you call it? Like a walled garden in some senses.
Great wall.
Great wall. The Great Wall exists. However, in day-to-day activities, maybe in contexts that are definitely not done now, or like it's maybe you're doing transactions like Auntie Elizabeth, right? You're doing transactions with with the Pinang or si Lannang, then it's like it's kind of like the walls just kind of broke down because you're doing business with that person, I guess. So it seems accepting in that sense.
One of the factors that distinguishes the Lannang from the Huana or Philippine Lama is precisely the school, because we had two flag ceremonies at that time. We had first the Lupang Hiniro with the Philippine flag and the Samin Churi, some of the Taiwan. So I grew up every day singing two national anthems and raising two national flags. But with the martial law, proclamation of martial law, and the Philippinization of the Chinese schools, the schools became an instrument of integration. Because it is not assimilation, because Lannang, kasi Lannang. But there is integration, not assimilation, but integration. And the school has helped a lot because both Lannang and Huanan or Filipina as key Sanmo, but they can go to the same school, to study together. And as young people, we learn to live together and study together, work together.
I believe the Lannang were already integrated because most of our young people now do not want anymore to go to Chinese schools. So they're very Filipino already. But during our time, it wasn't like that because our parents would force us to go to Lannang. But with the present generation, there is even one school where two classes are already made into one because there are so little enrollees. Like third year, fourth year, high school Chinese class with only one class, and there's only 20 of them. So it becomes less and less. Even, to be honest, even my nephew didn't study Chinese in Chinese school because they study in like Hillside or this Filipino schools. So I say that many have already been integrated, but somehow there is still some divide because when people saw our face, it was just they are Chinese, and they somehow divide us between Filipino and Chinese. But most of the Lannang somehow are already integrated, and they already feel so Filipino that they don't think they don't anymore get that Lannang identity. And sometimes parents have to force them that you have to have Lannang check, but kids right now can't be forced. Even my nephew, when he said he doesn't want to study, then the parents just say, okay, we just send you to one.
So I want to add something really quick. Kasi I just recalled a very striking memory. Kasi I started teaching Mandarin 2 years ago in the school where I work at. You know, one of the first questions my students asked me, "Ma'am, you're Chinese, right? So is your passport a Chinese passport also?" I'm like, "No." They said, "Why?" Sabi ko, "I was born in Zamboanga City." So parang there is also a misconception for some of the younger generation. If you say you're Chinese, they will automatically assume that you hold Chinese citizenship. And then they also ask day-to-day questions like, what is it like that you eat with chopsticks every day? I'm like, not really, because if the occasion calls for it, there will be chopsticks on the table. So aside from that, they will be curious about the values and the day-to-day, but then I always remind them that I was born and raised in Zamboanga, and no, I do not have Chinese citizenship.
Alright, thank you for all your answers. What I'm taking away from this is that across the board, across generations, peace, mother. Okay, across generations, we still have a lot of similar experiences and experiences of microaggressions that word that you cannot describe, that we are accepted, but there's this little wall. So microaggressions in current terminology, where it's a lot of times when people talk to us, it's not malicious in intent, but at the back of their minds, it's ingrained in a lot of us, both Lannang and Filipinos. It's human nature to be a little bit aggressive sometimes when we do not understand the other, right? So in that context, my next question is a rapid fire question. One answer, one word or two words only. What are some of the stereotypes or assumptions people have about Lannang in your areas? Except Hogya.
Feeling ko strict.
Next.
Straight.
Koreano.
Cold.
Yaku. Matipid. Yan. Kuripot. Pero matipid.
Hindi ang Chinese.
Okay. So that's set. One more.
Kasi nag-cheating siya kanina.
Okay, chisan.
Dahil kasi tanong sa akin, hindi daw pwede yung mag-asawa yung dalawang Chinese sa yung Filipino.
Oh, the great. Okay. All right. So one of the themes of our symposium, as you can see from our very nice poster, is the last part, wait, one language and many styles. So just because we speak Lannang doesn't mean we speak it the same way, especially coming from different generations and different regions, okay? Alright. Okay, so in light of that, I want to ask some questions, okay? I have two questions. Let's answer the first one. First question, are there any words or expressions that are unique to how Lannangs talk in your region? Maybe just one. It could be a rapid fire question. Just one or two. Yeah, it has to be very, you think is unique to yours. Could be a phrase, could be a sentence, could be a word. Alright? So, anyone want to start?
Hindi daw nila alam na may quiz. Na may quiz sila.
Siguro hindi expression, but yung tono. Kasi bilang mga Ilonggo, malambing daw kami. Kahit papatayin na kita. Or as you say, mabitin. Mabitin. Mabitin.
I think something similar sa shinare ni Father. At least what I've observed just by chatting in the Lannang archives group chat, I'm like, why are you guys saying things differently? Like ang siyak, and then like what I grew up with was ang sek, or like swantiang, instead of swantiang, it's swanteng. So things like that. Probably Bisaya influence.
I'm not sure naman, pero whenever there's a Hungry Ghost Festival, our elders would say, "Wikim Hohyati." Before I don't know what is Hohyati, because I asked the mainlander, the one from China, they know it as Topong Toma, and it turns out the Hohyati is the Hungry Ghost. And they say that you can't call them hungry ghosts or kuihun because they might get offended. So you have to call them hohyati. And I think it's unique because I didn't hear it being used when I went to China. They don't have that concept because during hungry ghosts, they would set up table at the ancestral altar at their komatya, but here in the Philippines, I noticed that they will set up a different table, not in the komatya, and then they would offer these offerings to the hungry ghosts, and that's how I think the difference in Europe.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious, really curious. For out of everyone here, who here has heard the word hohyati? Just raise your hand. You're in the group. Upatyatyo in their region. Upatyatyo. Raise your hand. How about an audience? Upatyatyo hohyati tigadi. Oh no, everyone too. Malaysia has it. Oh. Okay. So in the interest of time, let's move on to the most anticipated part of this interview. This is the question. How would you say the following words in English in your local version of Lannang or Hokkien? Okay, so I'll be saying the English version, and you translate for Juan Diak, okay? In Lannang Juan. Okay?
So what we want to see here is like what the example of Lawrence. In Manila we say Swantiang, but in Bisaya they say Swantang, Swanteng, like that, right? Okay, so we want to hear those differences, I guess, because it's fun. And it's the end of the day. We want to end it on a fun note. Alright, game!
First word. We're going to start this way. Okay, we're going to start with you, and we're going to move back down the road, okay?
And then go back.
And go back. Okay, so first word is to pay, to give money. How are we going to pay someone? The word pay. Pala.
Piko. Pala. Pala, piko. Pala din. I'm just joking. Pala. Kasi pala. Ako kasi pala.
So pala.
Besides pala, which is also used, minsan may narinig ako baga.
Baga?
Pero usually la talaga.
In Davao.
Yes.
Paga.
I mean, one, like, di ba, may.
Same with Lawrence. In our house, like we use pala a lot, but I hear baga and I use him sometimes.
All right, next word. Front. The opposite of back. Sahara.
Tautli.
Touching.
Okay, no word. Okay, you ready?
Touching or touching.
Taoting.
Familiar ako sa sing, yung tawag sing, pero yung isa hindi ko pwede narinig.
But can taoting. Okay.
Both Taojing, Taojing.
Okay.
Sing.
Taoting. Okay, next word. Toy. Laruan.
Tommy.
They told me.
Hindi ko alam ano kung kinito eh.
Okay.
Hitomi.
Hitomi.
Same thing, he told me.
Okay, so apparently for this word, it's somewhat consistent. Hitomi. Alright? I did hear some people say hitomi. Alright? Alright. I don't know which, if it's a regional thing or not, we don't know yet. Alright? Next one, this one is interesting. Self. Yourself.
Aiki.
Kaiki.
Kaiki or kaki.
E.
Hindi ako sa kaki, isa kay
Also both. Kaiti, kati. Okay? More kati than kaiti. Alright?
I came. Depende sa context mo siya. Punusin. Punusin.
Unsil. Kaiti. Alright. How about the word for where? Saan? Talo? Okay, sige, sige.
Titalo.
Talo? Titolo? Okay.
Titulo or tulo.
Talo?
titulo.
I've heard titulo or antolo.
Or titolo? Antolo?
We use tolo, saka toltia.
Toltia?
Toltia. Like, hindi kayo toltia.
Toltia?
Minsan, depending on who I'm talking to, there's titolo, antolo, or titwa.
Titwa. Oh, okay. Next, this or let's start with this and that. Okay, this, that. How do you say it?
Sige, sige.
Sige, hindi.
The tone is a little bit different. All right? Can you say it again? Can you say it again? As that?
Sige, sige.
Sige, hige, and then you said sige, hige. Okay, so that's
Depending on the context, sige as in chite or
sige, sige.
what else? Hige. So depends on whether it's like an object or it's like say if it's like a piece of land or something, chite or whatever.
Usually, ang narinig ko is sige and hige. Pero sometimes meron ding siya, sige. Tapos sometimes I also hear parang shortcut set. Some people say that.
Yes, potongsi. If it's a thing, not tige. Ige. Ito na this place or that place. If the context did change,
Hita. Ah. All right. One more. Yes.
Sige, hige.
Hige. Okay. How about these and those? These, those.
Twine, twine.
Twine, twine.
Swai, why?
Jilai, hilai, or twai, twai.
Sila.
Zhuai, huai, but sometimes there's an emphasis. Zhuai, huai. Oh, zhuai. Huai, what kind of thing? Zhuai, what kind of thing? Zhuai, huai.
Very interesting. Is that?
We also use why, and like I hear some people say hyungme.
Right? Okay. All right. Maybe one more. To take a bath.
Samhya.
Changhip or Changhip.
Changhek also.
So Davao is Changhek.
Sangya.
Yeah.
Changhek. So it's very Davao specific. Changhek. Alright, so we have one more question. Part 4.
Alright. We have one last question. Serious question, and then we'll end with something. Alright. So one last question. So all of you, well, 2 or 3 of you said na Lannang, therefore you have to go Lannang Otto, Patsek, right? So how has Lannang Otto, or maybe the church, or your barangay, I don't know, or your sangli, your family business, how has that shaped your identity as Lannang or as Chinese Filipino? Or anyone who would like to share? Free for all.
Actually, I grew up here in Manila. I studied at Chinese College. So, okay naman ang Lannang. But I teach Chinese at Ilocos Norte, Davao for 27 years. So, okay naman yung mga bata. But, sad to say, na-close na yung school last 2 years ago. So, I'm trying to continue to teach in college. Mandarin.
I think the context of the question is, in a way, Lannang, not the key, Lannang Otto, so that was the context of the question. So how did it shape, color the rest of the community? So I would say, like, way beyond half now, ako lang tayo because of that, they raise funds to give scholarship to this kabonsi, buhat ang palahakoy. So, just to be sure na hot tayo, what ang kinilan of and I would say even Wabing the Catholic Chinese school and the Sangit Kakao, the Protestant Chinese school, as far as I know, they also offer a lot of financial assistance to those couple, but just to be sure that they can study Chinese. Thank you.
Ako personally, I didn't go to a Chinese school, pero buhay tamo, isi, moro, Muslim. In Mindanao, we use the term tico. Some people think it's offensive, some people think it's not, so we call the moro tico. And then, this friend of mine, he's a classmate in law school, but he went to a Chinese school. So, nagulat ako, bigla lang siya nag-Hokkien sa akin. Siyempre, mas magaling siya kasi nagtagal siya sa Chinese. Pero yun, so, at least in Davao, yung Chinese school also helps mga non-Chinese to be more connected with us.
Ako naman, I also did not go to a Chinese school. I wasn't born in Davao either. However, I did grow up there. My parents actually had me born in Canada, and then I was brought back here to the Philippines, and I know, homeschooled for some time. So for the earliest years of my life, I was just speaking English. However, I would hear Hokkien and everything, and I don't know, like I just thought it was one in the same language. Or later on, maybe in around like high school, that's where I started to really be like, I'm interested in learning Bisaya and Tagalog and like Hokkien, right? And like learning where each of those are like different. Where do you actually draw the lines between each of those? Because as you know, when you did, like I said, kanina, sanam sanam. So it's chop chop lang. So yeah, so there's that. Maybe the influences from church. Well, I didn't really get influences from school because I didn't go to Chinese school, but from church. Yeah, maybe that's like the only other bastion of Lannang or something that I really had exposure to that's outside of my family. And then, what else? Yeah, I think that's about it.
For me personally, I studied in Chinese school from kindergarten to grade school, and I think what it did to me is because of that, I became more resilient and more persevered in whatever circumstances life throws. So that's what I mean, the Chinese education have brought me.
For me, I didn't learn much from the Chinese school because I didn't really, I would say that I wasn't really very interested in studying. But I learned so much from at home because at home you had really have a strict family that you have to learn Chinese and the Chinese ways. So most of the traditions that are lost now, we still practice them simply because we already get used to it. And maybe that's also the reason why our siblings were so liberal that when our nephew said that he doesn't want to go to Chinese school, they just said, okay, you choose what school you want to go. That's it. We learn more at home than we learn in school. Maybe also because at school, well, it's all memorization, sthat, and when it's sthat, it's boring. We didn't also find the necessity for the use for Lannang that time, or Mandarin, so we didn't take it seriously. The only time we take it seriously is when we meet people, like when I was in Cebu and I was staying in a dorm and I met several Chinese tour guides and they're speaking Mandarin, and so actually I didn't learn much of my Mandarin in school, but with the tour guide, because you go on and have to speak to them, I'm forced to speak to them in Mandarin because of course we will not understand each other. So I learned more from school, from at home than in school.
Thank you. Last answer?
So for me, I think after coming back from Taiwan, I took my master's degree there. So I was constantly reminded also by my parents, do not forget your roots. Kasi yun nga, it's something you were born with, it's something you should be proud of. So parang after hearing that from my parents, I took responsibility in learning more of the culture. So in my case, I'm the one who is tasked to remind the elders na, kinatid ba soy kill, kinatid ba kito kill, ganyan. So parang I retained much of what my cousins were not able to retain, and I plan to pass it on in the future, hopefully. No, kasi it's a beautiful culture, so I hope that everybody gets to appreciate that, regardless if you're Lannang or if you're from a Philippine background. So, yun po.
So as we can see from this discussion, wrapping things up already, we do see a lot of experiences, right? Now, everyone here has a different experience. Some are brought up, some people learn in church, and others learn at where? Where else? At home. Some, like me, I learned everywhere, from both church, in school, and at home. Alright? So, there's another thing that I really was really surprised about, which I'm not really surprised because it's part of the theme of the conference, but although we say that we speak Lannang, there are differences across regions. But at the same time, we do see some common threads, right? There are some commonalities, some Q maybe, for some or most, right? So it's kind of like a complexity, right? There are some things that are shared, but there are also things that are different that makes us unique. It doesn't have the cost division among within us, right? I think that's one thing that we have to really take into consideration, is that variation is not something that is bad, it's something that can enrich our culture. Even within Lannang culture, within Lannang society, it's still really, really rich and very beautiful and very vibrant. That said, I think think that's our panel for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Actually, they have some reminders before we end. And yeah, go, take the mic.
Okay, a few reminders for tomorrow. So tomorrow we will start again at 9. I think. Yeah, so we will start at 9. Registration opens at 8 o'clock. It's really just attendance taking. It's going to be faster tomorrow because you already have your kits and all that. Please double.
Correction, sorry, it's 8:30 registrations. And 30 minutes later, we will start at 9. But registration will not be at 8 anymore.
Sorry, 8:30 registration, 9 o'clock we start. We meet here again. And then tomorrow, please be conscious if you could sign in at the breakout sessions. Why? Because we kind of want a head count on who attends or how many people attend the breakouts. So it gives us data on what's interesting for the audience, no? For our next, for future Lannang Symposium. And then, last, may I remind, please, I saw people eating in our auditorium. I'm so sorry for being makulit, but lang po ay anja, soya, so katsa, alright? So please be conscious, do not eat inside the auditorium. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a big round of applause for our conveners as we are here with the mayor, as well as our prepared and impromptu panelists. And let's have a photo opportunity. Thank you so much to Lawrence Lu from Davao, Elizabeth Marie Lim from Zamboanga, Ed from Eastern Visayas, Adrian William Lo from Southern Mindanao, and some people who never realized that they would be
from Bacolod, and Philip Lauron from Iloilo.
Akala nyo mag-attend na kayo ng symposium, guest na rin kayo. Congratulations.
1, 2, 3. Pwede na kayo mag-register.
One more, 1, 2, 3. Let's see if Adrian Lo is looking for any stars for his next film. And that concludes day 1 of Lannang Symposium 2025. Look forward to seeing you. 8:30 registration, 9 o'clock start here at the auditorium. Don't forget to bring your own tumbler. Bring your own tumbler. We won't be providing any glasses or cups for you. Thank you so much.